Money, happiness, and the entrepreneurial spirit. That's what this video is about. And those three things are related. Let's start with money and happiness. There's always been the question of, can money buy happiness, or money can't buy happiness? Let's look at the scientific side of happiness. Happiness is chemically generated when chemicals in our brain get triggered, like dopamine and serotonin. So, what are the things that generate those chemicals in our brain where people describes themselves as happy and satisfied? Well, the first one is things that are pleasurable. Short-term happiness of winning, having a great meal with friends, going running. It's the mood that you're in that is the pleasure. The other thing that generates those chemicals in our brain is purpose, the fulfillment or contentment with our lives, that we have meaning and that we're doing something that is important or helps someone or helps society. Although these two things, pleasure and purpose, are different and independent, they are connected to each other in some ways, or we can at least make that connection happen. For example, think about the work that you do. Does it just give you money so that you can buy things that give you pleasure? Or does it provide money so you can do things that give your life meaning? Or does it both? And could the job give you pleasure and meaning? So these are the things we need to think about in this video. A truly happy person enjoys pleasure, but also works towards his or her goals in life that give their life greater meaning and purpose. Money can be used for both of these things. A famous 2010 Princeton University study tried to figure out what is the limit for money that happiness can buy. The part of the study that made the headlines was the number of 75,000. General media quoted this study as saying, once you reach $75,000 a year, then more money isn't going to necessarily buy you more happiness. Daily pleasure caps at about 75,000 is actually what this study showed. So daily pleasure of eating out and having a nice dinner or go skiing or have fun with your friends. In fact, a second study showed that the number is slightly off for what things give us plateau of happiness and purpose, and that is 95,000. Both of those were done by Princeton University. But what's interesting is a 2021 study by the University of Pennsylvania found that there was no ceiling on the amount of money that could incrementally give you more pleasure and more purpose and therefore more happiness. The more money you have, the less incremental increases will have on your happiness, but it will still increase. So let's go to positive psychology for a second. It's looking at the quality of life and happiness. The hygiene factors, we have that in another video about motivation, are the base level of happiness. In other words, am I comfortable and feel safe? Do I have enough to eat? Do I like my home? Does it fit my needs? Those are sort of general hygiene kinds of factors. They can be negative, but they're never really positive. But that gives us sort of a base level of happiness. Entrepreneurship can go beyond that base level. Entrepreneurship can give us both pleasure and purpose. How is that? The first thing is entrepreneurship, by its very nature, you have to develop skills, oftentimes different skills than what you've had in the past. Skill mastery creates self-confidence and a sense of purpose. Serving clients and employees can give us social happiness and a sense of purpose. The Harvard Business Review article, "Does Work Make You Happy? Evidence from the World Happiness Report," has this quote: "In most developed nations, we find that being self-employed is associated both with higher overall life evaluation and with more negative daily emotions such as stress and worry. It will most likely come to no surprise to anyone, to those who own a business, that being self-employed can be both very rewarding and stressful. But that stress can also be a positive stress. That's the stress of trying to achieve something that is meaningful." Okay, so how do we apply this? First thing is, look at the tasks and the work that you do yourself, and what parts of that work give you pleasure or give you meaning, and which ones do you not care for and they don't give you either one. I'll give you my example, and that is an experience to lead when I had that company. I love facilitation and working with clients and doing needs analysis, but I really didn't care meeting with our bookkeeper and our accountant. So, what I tried to do was I tried to make sure that I had a certain amount of that customer interaction doing needs analysis and calls and facilitation. That's the part that gave me a sense of well being and purpose, and I also just enjoy it. But I had to pay at the other end, and that is those going to those strategy and budget meetings. Another thing we can do as entrepreneurs is if we feel right about the people we're working with, that is, if there's a cultural fit, then we will enjoy work more. And if we can give those people some benefits that help them be happier, either through purpose or through pleasure, such as pay, such as the nature of the work they do, and that they fit our company culture, then that also gives us pleasure, but it also gives them happiness too. We have the ability as entrepreneurs to help people improve their existing skills. It's job growth. So when you do job sharing or ask someone to learn a new skill or take on a more difficult thing, that can actually give them a sense of both purpose and sometimes pleasure. If you look at the 5 questions that we said to retain people, that's in another video, then you'll look that those questions relate back to how satisfied am I that my manager cares about me, but also do I feel I am growing in the job? And that is, do we feel respected and acknowledged? If you look at the famous McKinsey study that people join companies and leave managers, that's about how they feel they're treated. And in fact, there's research that also shows that as leaders, if we are giving positive feedback to people and helping them in their careers, we also feel better as well as they do. In the book, The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acker, stated that a company with happy employees could increase their sales by 37% and productivity by about 31%, which directly contribute toward building a high performance work environment and improves the quality of life for everyone. And it makes your business more successful. So, as entrepreneurs, we not only have the ability to find happiness in both of its forms for ourselves, but for others and even for our clients.